you protect your money, keep it in a bank, you keep it in a safe. You're protecting your cash and monetary value. But people don't protect their time. They'll randomly throw their time out to anyone and everyone and whatever.
That's right.
And I think people don't realize that you can always make more money, but you're never going to get back your time. So are you working on the right... Like, I've been thinking about this for the past couple of months of how do I be more intentional? How do I spend time on the things that I think matter?
Right.
Whether that means building a business, being more productive, or just spending time with family, or
Right.
Taking a step back and like I do leatherworking, but I haven't made a wallet in like 3-4 months. I enjoy doing it, but I just haven't made the time to like do those things. Maybe I should. Maybe doing that unlocks something that I would have never realized, but for whatever reason, I haven't been able to make that time.
Why do you think that is?
Why haven't I made the time?
Or what do you think is causing you to not be able to have the time?
Doing too many things and being stuck with business outcomes. I want to build this podcast. I'm spending time doing this. And my agency, my 9-to-5, and then we're moving. And there's always something that seems more important, right?
Yep.
But I think it comes down to priorities I know that if I want to make time for it, I can make time for it.
Yep.
But I feel like something else will suffer.
That's right.
And then that thought is what I'm like, okay, I can't let my agency suffer. I need to get more clients. I can't let the podcast suffer, because then if I get bored of doing the podcast, then the notion I started out with, I don't want that to happen.
Right.
And so something's always going to suffer. And for the last probably 8-9 years, it's been my health. I lose weight, I gain weight. And every time I'm like focused on something else, this will. And I think it's just the notion of, I know I probably have time for it. I can probably be super efficient, and I can still get stuff done. I was asking Justin the other day, hey, I'll make you a wallet. I'm like, hey, tell me what you like. I'll start designing it. But I just feel like something will give.
That's right.
And so either I have to be okay with that, but then I have to understand, okay, does making a wallet make me happy enough that whatever gets pushed off the list, I'm okay with pushing off the list. I don't know, but
I mean, it's when I hear that, well, I don't have enough time, or just don't have the bandwidth. My immediate response is, then let's just say what it is. It's not a priority, right? Because a lot of the distractions, a lot of the lack of bandwidth, it will always come back down to priority mismanagement.
100%.
And I could go on and on about this, but I'll just use have you heard the Warren Buffett story with this pilot?
No.
Who knows if this is true or not, but it sounds like Buffett, and the moral of the story so spot on. He asked his pilot that was working with him for a long time to, what's your bucket list? What are the top 25 things that you would like to achieve before you die? Spend a week on that, bring it back next week, and let's take a look at it. So pilot got excited, right? He made this big list, brought it back to Warren. Warren looked at it for a minute and said, shave it down to 3 things. It's like, oh, okay. Spent the next week, took the list of 25 down to 3, brought it back, and he says, okay, you still have the other 22 items? He says, yep, they're right here. Buffett says, that becomes your no list. Because here's what happens with human psychology. If you don't say no to those other 22 things, these 3 things will never happen. They're too interesting. They have some level of interest. You want to do them, but you have determined they're just not at the priority of these things. And if I could just take the focus of what would normally go across 25 different things, kind of spreading your focus all over the roulette table to get chips on every number, right? I'm going all in on these 3 things. The other list becomes a no or not yet until these get done. And I think that's just a powerful story of just so many people, myself included. I'm not immune to this, because it happens the more successful you become, right? You think about someone who's at the top of their field, the top of their game, they're going to have way more opportunities thrown at them than someone who is just starting out, right? So it's actually more difficult to prioritize higher up the success ladder you go, simply because there's going to be more things thrown at you, more tugs on your time. So prioritization becomes even more critical. Yeah, distractions are just another way of saying I mismanaged my priorities, right? It's like, as if the priorities were truly there, set in stone, locked in, and everything became less of a priority than these, I think people would get, it's counterintuitive, right? You're focusing on fewer things, expecting more to get done, but that's exactly what happens. Instead of you making 10 to 20% progress in 20 different areas, feeling like you haven't done anything, you're actually driving the ball down the field and putting it in the end zone on these 2 or 3 items. You're driving it to completion, and that's just a very, very different feeling.
100%. I feel like priorities, it's hard to pick 1 or 2 things or 3 things.
It is.
Especially where I'm currently in this like in between where I'm like, maybe I know what I want to do, maybe I don't know what I want to do. There's so many like variables. The only thing I can stick to is, okay, I have the podcast, focus on my weight this year, and grow the agency out where it's just making 20-30%, right?
Right.
Outside of that, I feel like I want to do everything but these 3 things, though. Sometimes I'm just like, everything's shiny object syndrome.
For sure.
There's always, but it's also hard to say no, because I'm like, it seems like something I should, spend a couple hours on. But that's a couple hours I'm not spending doing anything related to these things.
And that's in... Back to Buffett again, back to Steve Jobs, the best of the best always say the same thing. When you ask about what's led to their success, they all say in some type of derivative roundabout way is they had to get very good at saying no, right? And so a good stress test on your ability to prioritize comes down to how frequently you're saying no. Because if you're saying no a lot to protect these golden eggs that are the 2 or 3 things that you've determined as your priorities, that's always going to be a way of knowing that I'm executing strong prioritization. The more yes things you say that are outside of making direct impact and progress on those 3 things, there should almost be a warning siren kind of going off in your mind of saying, ooh, I'm writing some bandwidth checks that I may not be able to cash, right? And if I say yes to this, looking back at the golden eggs, and all of a sudden the progress that I felt so strongly about before saying yes to this is now at risk. And I think just developing those mental models for you to kind of have, and for all of us, quite frankly, is to have those warning sirens go off when we say yes to something that's outside of our prioritization scope. And this isn't to be sugarcoated. There is nobody going to say this is easy work, but it's the hard work. It's the discipline, it's the focus that separates the good from the great. And it's hard. It's hard as hell.
Do you have recommendations on prioritization techniques? Or, I mean, I feel like there's a lot of frameworks. Like I do a bunch of